I can't stop thinking about Kirby Air Riders. The Nintendo Direct dropped a couple of days ago, and it was simply Masahiro Sakurai getting in there and showing us why he is the GOAT. He cares so much about the games that he makes. It's really apparent with just how enthusiastic he is about games. I was a huge fan of the original Kirby Air Ride as a kid. I played so much. I think it was the first game that I ever owned that I decided to try to go out of my way to like 100%, because you had that checklist, right? And unlocking all of the things, it felt like a real accomplishment because you never really knew what achievements were going to give you what, like if you were going to get a brand new item or if you were just going to get like the bragging rights, basically. Every single thing about Kirby Air Riders seems to be just a strict improvement on the original. The core gameplay is basically the same, but of course, Sakurai being the Smash guy, he decided he was going to add of what are effectively final smashes into the game with these special moves. You get access to more riders. In the original, you had King DDD and Meta Knight, and DDD would just ride on a motorcycle and Meta Knight would fly around. But that was it. They couldn't like ride stars or anything like that. This time around, there's a whole bunch of different characters and they can all absorb enemies and use their powers in their own unique ways. It seems like every single rider is going to have different stats to make them feel super unique, which is amazing. Now, we didn't see a whole lot of the different tracks available, but I love the way that the one track that he showed us was presented. Basically, he was like, yeah, so this one's a tropical water level, and those are usually pretty cool and calm, but no, this one is chaos. And he drove through it within like I think it was like in a minute and 12 seconds or something like that. And it's just like so much going on screen the entire time. Just absolute chaos. And that, I think, is the big difference between Mario Kart and Kirby Air Ride, at least in that mode. Kirby Air Ride, even with how simple the controls were, it gets so chaotic, especially if you're playing with like other people or like the NPCs cranked up all the way in like difficulty. You can also enable your star to like blow up in the middle. Like your star has a health bar and it can just explode and you can just be out of the race because of some crazy shenanigans that happened with like a bomb or whatever, and suddenly you're done. And I love that aspect of the original Kirby Air Ride, and it just looks like he's cranked this up even more. Each star in the original felt pretty different to drive. A lot of them had pretty drastic changes in control scheme, especially. Like you had the bulk star that basically you would have to like rev the engine up. You were basically driving a lawnmower and you had to keep revving the engine up in order to like go places. Once you started going, it was like pretty fast and really tanky, but kind of awkward. And then you had like stuff like the Swerve Star, where it would drive in a straight line and you would have to boost in order to turn it. I ended up getting really good with the Swerve Star as a kid, so it's cool. I saw that it was making a return. I'm really excited for that. It actually looks like most of the original stars are returning. I didn't see him showcase Hydra or Dragoon, which are stars that you can find in City Trial, and I'll get to that in a second. But I would be shocked if at minimum Dragoon wasn't back in it because of Dragoon's role in Smash and how that's kind of become an icon in and of itself for being like a pretty cool Smash item. If you played Brawl in the Subspace Emissary, Dragoon plays a pretty pivotal role in the story of that campaign. So I would be shocked if Dragoon wasn't coming back. I did see a couple of like giant chariot style carts or stars that kind of looked like Hydra. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe Hydra got replaced or just like broken up into these two different stars, because Dragoon is incredible and is probably the best star in the original Kirby Air Ride, but Hydra was just this like I don't even know how to describe it. You'd basically rev it up. It wouldn't go when you first got it, but when you fully charged up your boost gauge and let it loose, you were gone. It was so fast and so strong, it would just barrel through absolutely everything. So I feel like maybe in the developer's eyes, like that was the overpowered one. So maybe they split that up. I have no idea. But moving on to City Trial, which is kind of the reason to play the original Kirby Air Ride. It was the most unique game mode that it had. Nobody particularly liked top racing. If you liked top racing, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious to see if anybody was actually into that game mode or not, or if it was just like, I have to do this because I need to unlock everything. But City Trial is like the bread and butter, and he actually, Sakurai pointed that out in the direct, basically saying that like fans of the original game are going to be excited for this, and he was right. The map looks a lot bigger than the original City Trial. I am kind of bummed out that there aren't multiple different kinds of maps, but I'll forgive it, because honestly, the replayability, the gameplay loop of Kirby Air Ride is something that like on paper looks like it wouldn't be that fun, but you actually dive into it and you can't, like, once you start playing, you can't stop, because every time it's like, oh man, I could have done that differently, or like, oh man, I wanted to try to find all 3 pieces of Dragoon and I only got 2, so I want to try for the 3rd one. Or, oh man, like my cart for this stadium didn't perform the way that I wanted it to. Maybe I'll try like to find a different star and, you know, see if I can break a record or something like that. Like the replayability is what makes Kirby Air Ride kind of what it is, and why there's a huge community that still plays City Trial. Yeah, if you didn't know, there's a huge competitive Kirby Air Ride scene, and it all revolves around City Trial. It's kind of amazing, and I love watching gameplay of it. I'm actually like in that Discord just to like watch people do it, because it's so fascinating. It's such a dirty game. Like people murk each other constantly just to like get ahead. I think it's fascinating. Like I love watching that stuff. But yeah, City Trial is the bread and butter, and it just looks like this is just a strict upgrade from the original. The map is bigger. There's more events that happen. It seems like the events are maybe going to be less predictable, because there's so many more events that happen while you're playing on the map. In the direct, they mentioned a 5-minute time limit. I'm sure you can extend that. You were able to extend it up to 7 minutes in the original. And then with mods, obviously, you can make it go as long as you want. So yeah, I'm sure they'll let you extend that. There were a couple of things in this direct that made my jaw drop. And the first one was that City Trial now has a cap of 16 different players, which is crazy. The original had 4, so I figured like, oh yeah, they'll probably bump it up to 8. No, 16. That is so many people. And thankfully, the map is a lot bigger, so it can handle that. I could not imagine having 16 people on the original City Trial. That would just be insane. Like, it feels like sometimes it feels like there's not enough room for 4 people, so I couldn't even imagine 16. So this map has to be enormous. And there are some events in the original, like Destruction Derby and like quick drag races and stuff like that, that they've gone from stadium events to just global events. So you hear that a global event's happening, you go to the waypoint, you join up, you do the event. I think that is one of the coolest things that they added that I didn't even like think about. Because yeah, some of the events felt really small and short compared to others, and they felt like less unique and less I don't know, impactful, I guess. So just to have them be like global events that happen within your time in the city is just the coolest thing that they could have done with that. And watching Sakurai play through the City Trial in the direct, I highly recommend you go watch the direct if you haven't. It's just a great showcase of just a guy who develops games for gamers. Like it's so silly to say, but like you can tell he play tests his own games extensively, and if he's not enjoying a certain aspect of it, it gets cut. If something's annoying him, it's going to annoy other people. Therefore, it is not going in the game. And I really wish every game studio was like that, but obviously that is a big ask. So people are worried about how much game you're getting out of this. And Sakurai had mentioned that he didn't even cover everything in the 45-minute direct about this game. I am confident that there is a lot more that he didn't show us. I know, obviously, with City Trial, there is only one map, but he didn't necessarily say how many events actually were gonna take place in it and what the different stadiums actually were. So in the original Kirby Air Ride, when you would go to the stadium at the end of City Trial, it was totally random. It would give you hints sometimes during the City Trial, being like, I predict you're gonna see a bunch of sand or like something like that, and it was a race on like the desert level in the original. This one, it looks like you can vote sometimes on which event you want to do, and I think that's so cool because, yeah, say you thought, based off of a hint that you were going to be in like a battle arena, and suddenly it's like, oh nope, just kidding, it's a race this time. If you have the option to vote for the battle arena, you can vote for that. And if you're playing with like 4 players and each person selects something different, it'll randomly select them, but at least you know like which 4 you're going to be potentially getting dropped into. It really feels like Sakurai and his team thought of basically everything. Like, how do we improve on the original? It feels like they played like hundreds of hours of the original game and were like, okay, well, this is how we did it back then. How will we do this now? And what will we add? You can tell like this was made for fans of the original, and I am one of those fans, so I am super, super excited. Now, I'm not going to cover everything in the 45-minute direct. I highly encourage you to go watch it and watch till the very end, because, and I'm going to spoil something real quick, I guess, about the direct. At the very end, you see like a shadowy figure come out of a bunch of like wisps of like dark wind and stuff. And it doesn't show you who he is other than he's got like a Kirby eye. So obviously he's like an evil Kirby. When the original Kirby Air Ride came out, I think it was Nintendo Power gave you like a list of all of the different things you could unlock and how to unlock them. And in that list was something called Galax. Galax is just the Japanese name for the track Nebula Belt, which was like the unlockable track. But a lot of people interpreted that as a character named Galax, and that rumor started kind of circulating, and what people thought it was the last boss in Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, which came out around the same time. It was like this figure whose like bottom half was just like a tornado, basically. And his name isn't even Galax. Again, it was just the Japanese name for Nebula Belt, which is a track. But the way that this character gets introduced makes me think that like whoever this is like a reference to that, which is so crazy because like I Googled this and the only thing that I could really find was like a forum post on GameFAQs about it. And everybody basically saying, no, that's not real. That's just the Japanese name for Nebula Belt. So like, if that is what that is referencing, that is like insane to me that they would go and like reference like a rumor that probably didn't have any legs in Japan whatsoever and was strictly like a Nintendo Power Game Informer kind of like rumor, and just take that and make that like sort of a character callback in Kirby Air Riders. I don't know. It's just like such an incredible thing to me. I was really, really into this game as a kid. I couldn't believe in the Nintendo Direct where this was revealed. I lost my damn mind because I never thought a sequel was coming out. Like it was such a popular game among the people that had played it, but I don't know if it sold particularly well while the original was even in circulation. I still have my original copy. I adore this game so much. Very, very excited for Kirby Air Riders. Let me know if you are also hyped for it. And yeah, I will talk to you later. Thanks for listening.